Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Friday, November the 4th, race number 9 at Keeneland. It's the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Of course, it's a grade 1 for 2-year-olds going a mile and a 16th. $2 million is the purse. Our coverage is presented by DRF Bets. Let's take a look at this field. Please scan the QR code for race of the day access on mobile. And Mike, it's kind of rare to see an omni-fig in a Breeders' Cup race. Cave Rock. Every single one of his 3 Beyer speed figures would qualify as the fastest race of all of these. He is simply the horse to beat.
Yeah, the horse to beat by quite a bit too. Not only, does he have the fast races on the way in, Dan, a couple of triple-digit Beyers already. He's won easily, and every one of those starts 2 grade 1s already. He showed that the distance is no problem last time. It's hard to find the hole.
Let's throw up the Timeform US pace projector because at first glance, it might look bad for Cave Rock. Let's take this pace projector with a grain of salt because his likely pace pursuer, the number 10 National Treasure, happens to be a stablemate. And I find it very hard to believe that National Treasure, even if he is fast enough to go with Cave Rock early, is going to be intent on burning that horse out. Hurricane J stretches out with some sprint speed. The question is whether he's good enough and fast enough to push Cave Rock for more than a half mile.
Yeah, right. It didn't seem like the horse on the rail could really play a major part in this race, but I suppose they could just be on a dead scent here. And I agree with you 100% about National Treasure, Dan. There's still a chance that he turns out to be pretty good in his own right, but they sort of conceded to Cave Rock last time in the grade 1 and had to settle for second best.
And he's outposted here, breaking from post 10, going a mile and a 16th. I would expect Cave Rock to be in front. And remember, short stretch at Keeneland, going a mile and a 16th. Let's talk a little bit about Hurricane J. Steps up in class, steps up in distance, off 2 sprint wins, but one of them was at Keeneland on October the 8th, and he looked very comfortable doing it, going 3/4 of a mile. He was able to make the lead turning into the stretch. Joe Talamo is riding him with confidence, and he gets away from the field late. At the end of the day, this is a much weaker group, obviously, than the one he's going to be facing in the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, 2 likable wins, though, so far for this horse. For a trainer who does a really, really good job, he's drawn to the rail dance, stretching out, stepping way up. He's got tons of speed to his outside. There's a lot working against this horse, but he did look good winning that race we just watched.
The number 2 is Congruent. This is a son of Tappet, and he was entered in the Laurel Futurity for turf last time out, and the connections were excited to run him on turf, but Mother Nature didn't cooperate. It was washed off, and Congruent just handled the dirt just fine. Let's watch the Laurel Futurity. Virgil Lynch gave this horse a very nice trip, able to save ground in behind horses briefly, but turning into this long stretch, you have plenty of time for something to work out, and Virgil is able to split horses, and Congruent does the rest.
Right, comes right on through, gets the job done here. Pretty game finish for this horse, too. Slight new Beyer top. He's obviously just a little slow on the way into this race, Dan, facing the toughest field he's ever faced by far, but another horse who's going to be a big price.
The third finisher of this race, the well-beaten third, would come back to run second, but only in a 2-life race at Delaware with a 77 Beyer. Here's the horse all eyes are going to be on. It's Cave Rock, 3 for 3, flawless in his career, has yet to be headed, handled 2 turns in the American Pharoah, and did it with aplomb. 104 Beyer speed figure for Cave Rock, who just went to the front, dared them to catch him. They did not. National Treasure tried very, very hard, Mike. He runs second.
Yeah, good second for his stablemate, but he just doesn't even really make a race of this thing, Dan. This horse has just been, typical Baffert stuff as a 2-year-old. Really fast, really impressive, keeps getting better from race to race, is going to take a ton of beating in here.
He pulled off the Del Mar Futurity American Pharoah Grade 1 double. Forte pulled off the hopeful Breeders' Futurity Grade 1 double. Maybe the Breeders' Futurity helps because it was at Keeneland and he is able to rally from off the pace. Let's watch Forte's performance. He ran well in here. He did get a nice pace setup, and he got a very good closer's trip from Arad Ortiz, where he saved ground for most of the way, got to the outside, engages Loggins, who I think is a very promising 2-year-old in his own right, and is going to get the better of him at the very end.
Yeah, he's going to prevail here. It's kind of strong handling, even though it's pretty close in this race. I don't know, Dan. I know that the trip kind of worked out for him there, but I think the trip worked out because Forte is a really, really handy horse. It just kind of feels like Irad can do whatever he wants with him. And I think he's going to fall into another really good trip in this race. He's going to have to get faster if Cave Rock shows up, but this horse is pretty good.
Verifying is a bit of a wild card. He has a lovely pedigree. He's by Triple Crown winner Justify. He's a half brother to Midnight Bijou, a multiple millionaire and multiple Grade 1 stakes winner. Liked his debut on Travers Day, going 3/4 of a mile. And in the Champagne last time out, he was down inside, and maybe that wasn't the place to be over a sloppy track in a race won by Blazing Sevens. He's tactical. I expect him in the second flight or so.
Yeah, me too. I think he'll be somewhere, just off the pace in this race. I liked his debut quite a bit. I thought he did a lot of good things in there after taking a ton of money. And I thought he ran fine in the Champagne. Did he have, some kind of huge excuse? I guess he didn't, but it was just his second start. He did wind up down on the rail while the winner was out in the clear. I thought he ran fine last time. There's a lot to like about this horse.
And again, he's bred to handle the additional distance. Blazing Sevens won his debut by open lengths, going 3/4 of a mile, but he did so in the way where you and I both kind of thought maybe longer would be better. He was hard ridden from about the 3 furlong pole home, and he got away from that group. The hopeful, it just didn't work out behind Forte, and we were concerned it was a wet track. Well, not the wet track. Here's what he did in the Champagne last time out over a wet turd track at Aqueduct, going a mile for the first time. He's going to split horses, get to the outside, and run by them all. Verifying is on the lead right now. He's going to run a fine second.
Yeah, I mean, all in all, this trip I thought worked out pretty well for Blazing Sevens. But I guess we have to give him the credit that is due him here, Dan, because he does finish pretty well down the outside in this race, and he's moving away from Verifying at the end. I still am struggling to decide how good I think this horse is, Dan. I do like the 2 wins. I thought his Hopeful was a pretty disappointing performance. At the morning line odds, I'll probably lean against him, but I won't be surprised when he runs well.
The big ask for our next entrant, the number 7, Wound Up. He is conditioned by Preakness-winning trainer Michael McCarthy. This will be the dirt debut after 3 lifetime starts. He's by Mendelssohn, who's gotten off to a very nice start with both dirt and turf runners. The dam was a stakes winner going a mile on the dirt. The second dam was multiple stakes placed on dirt. I guess there's enough dirt pedigree, but he's got to improve off his turf form.
Yeah, he's just going to have to be way better on this surface. His debut win there, I thought was sort of more game than anything else, Dan. And I can't say that I love his 2 starts since then.
Friends, here's a sleeper. Todd Pletcher has Forte, and that horse is going to take a lot of attention. He also has Lost Ark, a horse who won the sapling around 2 turns in his second lifetime start. And in your free formulator past performances, click on the short comment to watch the replay of the last race. This horse was just pinball terribly in the early portion of that race. He lost a lot of early position, and he was still running on pretty well at the end in that short stretch.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, Dan. I really liked his first 2 starts. I thought he ran well in both of those. He showed that he can get the 2 turns. Of course, he has the huge pedigree to go on with distance. And that trip just did not work out for him last time. It feels like the kind of thing that could really darken his form.
And again, he has shown a lot more tactical speed than last time. The reason he was so far back, the break wasn't there. Curly Jack's a graded stakes winner. He won the Iroquois at Churchill Downs, his first start around 2 turns. He was a big price that day. I thought he got a pretty good setup from a pace standpoint, though.
I thought so too. Overall, Dan, the Iroquois is just not a race that I like that much. This horse, obviously ran fine in winning it. His effort 2 starts back where he got, the top figure of his career, I guess he ran fine in that race too. But that's another race that I don't really like that much. I don't want to knock him because he's going to be a big price. And if you like him, you should just take a shot with him in here. But I'm not his biggest fan.
Outside post for National Treasure, who won his career debut with blinkers in gate-to-wire fashion. Baffert took the blinkers off. He likes to experiment, blinkers on, blinkers off with his young horses in the American Pharaoh. And as we saw, he was no match for Cave Rock. The blinkers come back on here. Sean Velasquez is going to get him out of the gate to get into good position. But I'm sure the instructions are, get out of there. Don't duel with the favorite.
You would think that those would be the instructions. We'll see. This horse is plenty fast enough. He showed that in his career debut. He had good speed in that race. He fought off a couple of challenges. I thought he won that race pretty impressively, and he actually improved last time while no match for his stablemate.
Before we get to our top selections, please subscribe to the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel. We're just getting started here on the DRF YouTube channel for Breeders' Cup Week. Clocker reports, international reports, Timeform US pacecasts, and all the stakes previews. Top pick time for the Friday race of the day. Cave Rock is way the horse to beat. I wonder if Forte, after pairing up Byron Thompson in his last two races, can come with another run. He seems like he's professional enough and he's learning. I'm not sure how interested I am in betting strongly against Cave Rock, but I do think Forte is pretty good.
I agree with you. I actually feel like both of the Pletcher colts have something to offer in this race. They obviously have their work cut out for him with Cave Rock, who's just one of those 2-year-olds that, you don't see that often, Dan. He's really fast. He's going to be on the lead here for a trainer that leads these horses over ready.
He's the big star on Future Stars Friday, first day of the 2-day Breeders' Cup extravaganza at Keeneland. Mike goes with Cave Rock, 3-8-4-5, maybe Forte with a slight upset, 4-3-6-10 for me. It's the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, your Friday race of the day, presented by DRF Bets. Good luck.